Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The date is July the 19th, 2021. The time is now 7 o'clock p.m. I call to order a meeting of the Mayor and the Havre City Council. I'll call the roll. Council President Glenn. Here. Councilmember Reinstocker.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
With all council members present and accounted for, I'd like everybody to please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the opening prayer. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could kindly ask everyone to please remain standing. I'd like to call forward Reverend Gene Proud of the Proud Evangelistic Association. Always a pleasure to have you here, sir. Welcome.
Welcome to you too. I really, really enjoyed doing this.
Well, we enjoy having you here.
I mean, this is fun to me. And you're people that I love to pray for, individually and especially as a group. Let's pray. Jesus, these are the people that you've given to lead us. You've entrusted them with our safety and our well-being. Give them all the wisdom and knowledge, discernment that they need to be able to do it so that what happens for us shows how good you are because you've chosen these people and they've helped us out. And thank you for everything you're going to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Reverend Proud, thank you so much. Item number 5 on the agenda this evening, approval of the minutes. Council meeting minutes of July the 6th, 2021. Council will have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments? Councilmember Martin.
Mr. Mayor, I will be abstaining from voting as I was not the last council meeting.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. Any other questions or comments on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Council meeting minutes from July the 6th, 2021 are approved, 5-0 in the affirmative. We will go on to item number 6, which is comments from citizens on agenda items. This is the part of this evening's agenda. If you are here to speak about a matter that is on the agenda, this is a really good time to do so. If you're in the audience this evening because you're here to speak on any other matter of city business that is not on the agenda, we do have a section at the end of the agenda called Citizens' Comments. So I will call on the audience at large, but I do have 2 pre-filled out forms I will call on first. I'd like to call first on Miss Anise Bloom. Well, good evening, Ms. Bloom. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and citizens present and citizens out in the digital world. I am a resident here in Havre de Grace, 141, 139. What is my street? Weber Street. And I am here to speak on agenda item 12A. I am speaking on behalf of the Havre de Grace Green Team, and more specifically, I'm currently the project leader of the Havre de Grace Heirloom Victory Garden, which is located on the Moore family homestead, and how it relates to agenda item 12A. I will reveal that. So I'm going to pocket the information for you with a first, next, then, and finally. That's the educator in me, though I'm retired, it still comes through with flying colors. So, I'm going to share the project's history, just a little of it, because it's unique. This is an all-volunteer project at the Heirloom Victory Garden. And I'm going to do that via a PSA, a public service announcement. This video, which was created by a Harvard Community College student, Nia Suda, and I mentored her during the course of this year at the Heirloom Victory Garden, because our Heirloom Victory Garden is moving more in the direction of a demonstration garden. It's the people's garden. It's going to be a real community outreach beyond what it's doing now. And then I'm going to move on to the next, and I'm going to share post successes. Then I'll share accomplishments and how it relates to 319 Lafayette Street, and finally, what has been accomplished thus far with the support, of course, of our valued, and I want to say that again, valued volunteers and community members. I can't say that enough. And, of course, with the city's support, and then the developed partnerships that are in the making this past year. So, with that said, we're going to watch a less than 2-minute video clip.
All life, all possibilities, you and me, everything starts with a seed. Small, yet full of potential. The moment that you step into a garden, you're like a seed. As you familiarize yourself with the soil and soak in all that you learn, you begin to feel something inside you change and flourish. And before you know it, you're a sprout. Gardening is a revolutionary tool that can be wielded to feed and heal ourselves and those that we love. The recent pandemic has resulted in many people suffering from food insecurity, increased stress, and decreased mental health and well-being. Gardens have been utilized throughout history to provide support during times of hardship. During World War I, millions of victory gardens were created across America to combat food shortages and aid the war effort. It may seem foreign at first, but immersing yourself into the calm, therapeutic pleasure of gardening can quickly become a comforting, healing experience you will come to appreciate, and anyone can learn. This practice provides benefits in the form of physical activity, reducing anger, stress, fatigue, and symptoms of depression and anxiety, which many people have been dealing with since the start of the pandemic. Participating in a garden creates a sense of community that grows with each visit as you cultivate valuable skills that will serve you throughout your lifetime. And there's a place in your community for you to discover this yourself. The Havre Grace Green Team's Heirloom Victory Garden project began in 2018, is partnered with the City of Havre Grace, and operated entirely by volunteers. It donates all of its bounty to locals. It's in this space that you will find the many wonders of gardening, the methods through which we can grow without the use of any chemicals, and cultivate clean, fresh herbs, fruits, and vegetables of all kinds, colors, and flavors, all carefully planted so as to support and protect each other. Wonders, whims, and intricacies of gardening are all freely available. Volunteering at the Heirloom Victory Garden is an experience for you and yours, an opportunity to support food insecurity in your community, skills you can use to support yourself. Plant your seed at the Havre Grace Victory Garden, the gift that keeps on giving.
I am just so proud of the student. When we met, she said, "Ms. Bloom, I don't know anything about gardening." I said, "Dear, don't worry. Let's take a walk." And this, her passion shines through without a doubt. So our garden was developed with the mission to provide fresh produce for local food pantries. It was established in 2018. So we're just in our third year. And under the leadership of, it started under the leadership in 2018 with Kirk Smith. I was then on the board of the Green Team, and I was the liaison to that project. Next, with the help of volunteers, and they're always needed, We designed and constructed the raised beds and transferred the dilapidated grape arbor original to the property with a new structural support. It is indeed flourishing at this point. The first growing season, we donated 1,009 pounds. The next growing season, we were able to donate to 3 local food pantries 1,420 pounds. Then, if you've ever seen the pink glow in 319 at night, that is our seed starting. Those are our grow lights that are in there. And what we're doing in that house, 319, is germinating seeds. Many of our plantings are started from seeds on this property, whether it's direct sowing or in the house. Having access to growing space provides an opportunity to seed start an array of heirloom seed choices. One example, and this one I'm so excited about, the North Georgia Candy Roaster Squash. It was in the 1700s that the Cherokee Indians saved those seeds, and they've been passed down through the generations. And the seeds that we started last year were passed on to me. This year's seeds that started in 319 are now flourishing in the heirloom Victory Garden. I actually had to do an operation to take out, there's a diurnal, you think moths are night flyers, you think they're nocturnal, but there is a little pesky critter that's a diurnal moth, and it lays its eggs, and then the larva bores into the stem, and it collapses the plant. So,
Happens to me all the time.
Me too.
okay.
I've been trying to grow pumpkins for 3 years, and I keep getting a squash borer worm, and I look for those little red eggs on the
Do you
leaf.
know how to identify the frask and then go in, make your incision, and take that little booger out?
Yeah.
It's white, has a little black head on it. It's nasty. Anyway, back to my story. That's my one example. We also prepared seeds, seed potatoes actually, and we let them callus, and we planted those. The squirrels dug them, and we planted them again, and the squirrels dug them. We've been having critter problems, but we were able to harvest Yukon Gold and Norland Red potatoes, which have been donated to the food pantries already. Currently growing, we grew slips. How many of you have ever had a sweet potato and put the toothpicks and let it be in the water? And you have all of that greenery coming off of it. If you pluck one of those little growths, sprouts off of there when it's about 3 inches long and put it into water, it will grow its own roots. When it does that, you can plant it, and that, my friends, becomes sweet potatoes. So that is what a slip is that I'm talking about. Finally, with dedicated volunteers, I can't say it enough, dedicated volunteers, and being a Green Team member and being also a University of Maryland Extension Master Gardener, we have a few accomplishments that I'd like to share at this point. The first, we've developed partnerships with Harvard Community College, and you saw an example of that with the student, my mentee, that produced the PSA. We also developed another partnership with Harvard Community College and the Green Team, and more specifically, the Heirloom Victory Garden, HVG, was one of the featured and Rooted in Agriculture that aired. So we've been a little busy. Two, we developed unused gardening space within our confines of the space on the property, and we eked out approximately 250 square feet more of new growing space for plantings this season. And in that space, we're growing companion plants. And you may have seen in the video when it talked about polyculture, we've been doing those interplantings, and we don't use chemicals. And so the plants working together help one another, sort of a symbiotic relationship. We're actually growing watermelon radishes. Have you ever had one? Oh my goodness, they will make you lip your lips. When you cut into this thing, it looks like a turnip. And when you cut into it, there's total pink. And if you don't want the spiciness of the outer skin, you can peel it. But you can use your mandolin slicer, and you can dip hummus with it, or you can decorate a salad. It is absolutely divine. All of the gourmet restaurants use it, but they went to our food pantries. So that was a wonderful thing. Now, we also, all of a sudden, I'm not seeing clearly. Could it be nerves? I don't know. Anyway, this has helped us. The city has helped us, and we have now crossed the threshold of our 1/3 of our goal. Our goal is 1,500 pounds. This morning, when we did our harvest and put our donation together, I almost want to do a drum roll. We're at 507.5 pounds already, and we're not out of July, and we're fighting critters. So I am excited. I'm excited, and I'm saying on behalf of the volunteers, go, great job. Now, number 3, Harford County's barn quilt. You guys helped me with this. It was a wonderful thing. We're trying to get people into our space, and the barn quilt is another one of those unique things. It's art. So we have a segmented art quilt panels. DPW, thank you. We got those installed. We didn't want just a barn quilt here in Havre de Grace with just a plain old square. The smallest it could be was 4x4. So we put it on 4 posts, 4 panels, and it's looking really swell. At least that's what the people tell me. I think it's sweet. Okay, so the pattern, I have to tell you this, was based on a 1936 geometric pattern by Nancy Cabot, and it's called the Spinning Hourglass. And this art project can be viewed online if you go to Barn Quilts of Harford County. And thanks to the Historic Preservation Commission, I have to give them a nod because they did an awful lot of research, and that is in the Barn Quilt site. So soon we will have signage in front of that where you can just click the app and it'll take you to our backstory, which is really cool. 5, we've installed signage, thanks to DPW, that tells who we are. Now we know that it's not just someone's private garden. So on Strawberry Lane, because the garden backs to Strawberry Lane, and then on the side of the boathouse, we have signage, actually on both sides. Now, I'm to number 6, and guess what I'm going to say? In closing, the Heirloom Victory Garden has a weekly digital garden publication. I bet you didn't know that, did you? It's named TTNT. It comes out on Thursdays, and it's tips and tidbits from the Heirloom Victory Garden. And all of the tips in there are things that we're actually practicing or doing. And I'm going to leave you with this. Lastly, in the words of Elizabeth Murray, gardening is the art that uses flowers and plants as paint, and the soil, sky as canvas. That is just so sweet. But Mayor Bill Martin and council members and Mr. Tim Whitty and Steve Gamatoria, I have something for you. And Risa, you've been so kind, and I just love you. No. This is for you to remind you. With the partnership that we have with the University of Maryland, Master Gardeners, they're writing a newsletter now, and so I get to extract part of that resource. You treat me very kindly. And this lady I get because she's so supportive. And there you be, sir.
Do you need me to come try to trap groundhogs again?
Yes.
Do you need me to come try to
Yes.
trap groundhogs again? I have them out this week.
He's under the shed
Yeah, I know
of
where he lives.
Morehouse.
I tried to catch him last
Thanks,
year.
Denise.
There, I want you to know, I tried my
So I
rendition
spent my COVID
of
break.
the recipe, the top one, and those are actually
destroying the neighborhood.
in the garden.
One last
Wow.
year.
Absolutely.
Really big one.
Much fun.
Thanks, I'm across the street.
It's like
Hello, thank you.
golden beets. Oh my goodness, they're absolutely fine.
Beets.
Clove carrots, Asian salted beans.
Maple roasted root beet vegetable.
That's
That's cool.
Anyway, I have 3 more that will come to you. Thank you so much. Do I have any questions?
Council, any questions for Ms. Bloom?
Then I'm going to throw it to Casey. Council Lady Boyer.
Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
all that you do. You're
you,
absolutely
Anise.
inspiring. Thank you.
Okay, I have one other pre-filled out form for citizens' comments, and that's Miss Bonnie Bradford. Welcome, Miss Bradford. May we please have your address for the record?
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Bonnie Bradford, and I live here in Havre de Grace on Fountain Street. I'm glad to have the opportunity to comment on item number 13 on the agenda, which is the ordinance regarding demolitions. By way of background, I have a master's in international environmental public health from Johns Hopkins University. I've worked for 35 plus years in the field, including more than 15 years at the World Bank. I worked in lead poisoning prevention programs in Washington, D.C., and I worked with families with lead-poisoned children. I'm especially interested in the demolition provisions related to lead and asbestos. I was a witness to the disastrous demolition of 300 Market Street here in Havre de Grace, a case study of what not to do in a demolition. Ingestion of lead dust and asbestos fibers is one of the main things that you want to prevent in any demolition. The effects of lead poisoning, for those of you who may not be aware, especially for young children under 6, can be lifelong and it can be devastating. Exposure to lead, even small amounts of lead, can cause brain damage, learning disabilities, lower IQ, and a host of health problems. Pregnant women and adults of all ages are also at risk of serious and life-threatening health problems from lead exposure. Asbestos fibers released into the air can also be devastating. It takes just one asbestos fiber to lodge into the lungs to cause damage. Exposure to asbestos can also lead to lung cancer 20 to 30 years in the future. So these are serious problems. Lead poisoning and asbestos exposure should not happen in a demolition. These are preventable exposures in a demolition that's done correctly. The ordinance as it currently reads is a first step, but it needs to be strengthened so that it truly protects the public, and it will need to be enforced to the full extent of the law. I have extensive markups and questions about the language in the ordinance, which I would be glad to share at some point in the future if it would be helpful. I understand that I should only talk for a few minutes right now, and I hope that there will be more time available for getting detailed suggestions. I'd like to make a few very specific points. One, we definitely need an ordinance in place. Despite the fact that we contacted the City Council on day one, the morning of day one of the 2-day demolition, I was told no one could stop the demolition in process. This is despite the fact that the demolition took place completely dry, no hoses to keep any surfaces wet for 2 days. This is one of the most critical factors in a demolition. It should never be done dry because lead and asbestos can and will be disturbed and sent flying. This has to change. No notice was given to any of us who lived nearby that the demolition would be taking place on these 2 days so that we could prepare ourselves and our families. Windows were open. Children were out and about. People were unaware that this demolition was going to take place. This is unacceptable. The demolition should not have taken place on these 2 very windy days. Both days were windy. Again, against best practices for demolitions, against any practices for demolitions that were carried out properly. Lead particles and likely asbestos were sent into the neighborhood. As a frame of reference, Bomboys is less than a block away from 300 Market Street. There's a rehab center, an early learning center, and a hospital, all within a few blocks of this demolition. All of those who live close by and anyone who was outside enjoying their day was put at risk for exposure to lead and asbestos. People enjoying a Bomboys ice cream, pregnant women with children in strollers, people in wheelchairs, all assuming that the city is protecting them. No barricades were around the demolition site. No signs were put up that a demolition was in process. No protections were taken against lead and asbestos exposure. In my opinion, all that is criminal, and it should never be forgotten, and it should never be allowed to happen again. A few other very specific items among my many markups. 55-4, Section B, number 2. The property owner, applicant, or contractor must complete the asbestos and lead abatement certification. I would like to see the asbestos and lead abatement certification form, and I'm very concerned about the last line in this paragraph that reads, if no asbestos or lead is known to be present, then a statement certifying the same shall be included with the application. This is not enough. This is potentially a major loophole that must be closed for public safety. Properly done sampling and other measures should be done prior to the demolition of any structure, especially ones built before 1978 when lead paint was banned. Samples taken from the painted exterior of 300 Market Street showed lead levels that were extremely high. The results were off the charts. It should not be enough for people to say they don't know. The structure needs to be tested, and appropriate actions need to be taken to ensure public safety. Section 55B, item 12, regarding notification. I mentioned this briefly before. The department shall notify, in the current reading, it is all adjacent property owners that physically abut the property or across the street or road from building or structure to be demolished. This also is not enough. Signs need to be posted. Businesses and neighborhoods, people need to be alerted in a much larger radius. Look at what happened at 300 Market Street. We are a mixed residential and business neighborhood. We deserve the right to know that a demolition is going to be happening. It needs to be broadcast to a much larger area. Other cities and towns have examples that we can follow. The next point is that it would be very helpful if all the referenced permits, codes, requirements, and guidelines mentioned in this are all gathered in one place for applicants for demolition and for the general public. There are examples of comprehensive demolition packets and website pages with links to all relevant documentation in one place for viewing and downloading, and this would be extremely helpful. The last point I'd like to make has to do with enforcement. Section 55-6. Quote, any person convicted of committing any unlawful act as provided in this chapter shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. Unquote. What does this mean? What are the actual fines and criminal penalties? In my opinion, the fines and criminal penalties should be serious, and they should be serious enough to prevent unsafe demolitions from happening here ever again. The lives of our children, our families, and all of us are at stake, and the stakes could not be higher. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bradford. Any council have questions for Ms. Bradford? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience at large wish to speak on any agenda items this evening? Okay. I think most of you all here are about to get sworn into a commission. Okay, all right. All right, thank you very much, everybody. We will move on to item 7, which is appointments. We have an item A and item B. Item A is going to be Cultural Exchange Commission, and item B is going to be Independence Day Commission. Both these commissions at the last council meeting were converted from a temporary commission created by resolution to a permanent commission, part of an ordinance into our charter now. So the members who are being appointed tonight are currently serving. So I want everybody at the general public viewing at home to know that these folks are being readopted to these commissions because it's now a permanent commission. So we're going to start with the Cultural Exchange Commission, and I'm going to hand this off to the council liaison to the Cultural Exchange Commission, which will be Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, I move that we appoint the following individuals to the newly constituted Cultural Exchange Commission: Wander Booker, Maura Burton, Donna Bushong, Morgan Jones, Vicki O'Keefe, Gail Pettershoff, Chris States, Deborah States, Capri Walling.
Second. Council, I have a motion by Councilman Boyer, seconded by Councilman Robertson. This is for the appointment of the aforementioned commission members. Questions or comments on the appointment? Councilmember Boyer.
We've been talking about this group for a while, for certain last couple of meetings, and again, they've done a great job at reaching out not only within our community, slightly outside of our community, but beyond our community to our partners over in Mumbles. It's a very exciting group of people. I highly encourage others to get involved. It's a great way to get to know a lot more about your own community, but also get to know more about another culture that's very close to ours. So I'm very excited to have everybody back on board and looking forward to the next phase of our relationship with our partnership with Mumbles. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Any other comments from council? Okay. I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, second by Councilman Robertson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay, the appointments to the Cultural Exchange Commission is approved by council 6-0 in the affirmative. Item B, Independence Day Commission. I will hand that off to the council liaison to the Independence Day Commission, which is Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion to appoint the following members of the community to the Independence Day Commission: Christina Bracknell, Michael Bracknell, Nikki Fournier, Steve Gamatoria Jr., Taryn Martin, Christine Silverstein, and Taryn Van Heerden.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments on the appointments? Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you. So again, this is another commission that we've talked about in the past, and we're only just, 2 weeks past the 4th of July parade and the grand finale of that parade for this year. And this commission works hard all year long to make that parade very successful. But some of the events that they plan and the fundraisers they plan are also rooted in the community. And I'm so proud of the work that they've done in the past 3 years, bringing the parade to fruition, but also bringing the community together with some of the activities. So I think that the next thing up will be the Holly Jolly Christmas festivities in December. And that's something, this will be the 3rd year. And I think that's something that the community enjoys and looks forward to, seeing those Christmas trees decorated in different themes and having an opportunity to purchase them. So again, I just want to thank every member of the commission. I'm glad they're all coming back. We've talked about, that it's a small commission, but we're bolstered by many, many volunteers within the community, and I want to thank them as well. So congratulations to the commission.
Thank you, Councilmember Zenner. Any other questions or comments on the appointments? Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Zenner, second by Councilmember Robertson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Okay, the appointments to the Independence Day Commission is approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. Okay. Item 8 is going to be the oath of office. So what I would like to do, if I could have every member in the audience this evening who is with the Cultural Exchange Commission, if you could come forward and join me down in the well, I'll read you your oath of office and we'll make it official. Ready? Okay. How's everybody doing this evening? All right, wonderful. All right, great. All my friends here, my travel buddies. Okay, well, thank you for coming out and for continuing serving. Now, it's a codified, bona fide, actual permanent commission out in the city. See what you started? So what I'm going to ask you to do is to raise your right hand. And I'm going to say the word I. Collectively say the word I, but here's what we're going to do. We'll just go down the road, and then you all just say your names. How's that sound? Is that good? Okay, so I.
Gail Petrosac.
Christopher Stathis.
Debbie Staff.
Just repeat after me. Solemnly swear.
Solemnly swear
that I will fulfill
that I will fulfill
the requirement of the office I'm about to assume.
the requirements of the office I'm about to assume.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
Faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland.
and support the Constitution
Support the Constitution
and laws thereof.
and laws thereof.
That I will faithfully and impartially,
That I will faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the Havre Cultural Exchange Commission
as a member of the Havre Cultural Exchange Commission
to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
We're in. Each one of you to sign just for the records of the city that you've been sworn in, so I'm not sure what order they're in, but I'll tomorrow. Welcome, everybody. Okay, well, thank you very much for round two. And efforts and pulling off amazing things. Ready for another one? Yep. Here, Jimmy? We're all good, okay. Please raise your right hand. When I say the word I, please repeat the word I collectively, but then we'll starting with Chrissy, we'll say each person's name. I.
I, Christy Silverstein. Aaron Martin.
Stephen Gale.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will fulfill
that I will fulfill
the requirements of the office I'm about to assume,
the requirements of the office I'm about to assume.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
that I'll be faithful and bear true allegiance
That I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution
support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof.
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the Havre Grace Independent State Commission.
as a member of the Havre Grace Independent State Commission,
Best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations, everybody. Back in. We'll start with, Christina. Okay, we will move on to item number 9 this evening, recognitions. We have no recognitions on our agenda. Item 10, proclamations. This evening, we have no proclamations. Item 11, presentations. There are no presentations this evening as well, which takes us to item number 12, resolutions. There is one resolution concerning Green Team, and I'll hand that off to the liaison, Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, I move that we adopt the calendar resolution concerning the memorandum of agreement with the Havre Grace Green Team for the use of 319 Lafayette Street.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer. To have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Ringsacher. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce the resolution carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, can you please read this resolution header into the record and assign it a number, please?
Yes. This will be Resolution 2021-13, a resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre, Grace, Maryland, pursuant to Section 33 and 34 of the City Charter and the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, to authorize the Mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Havre Grace City Green Team as it relates to the use of specified areas of the first floor of 319 Lafayette Street.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, to have a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-13.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments before the roll call? Council, a roll call. This is a roll call on Resolution 2021-13. Councilmember Zinner,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer,
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsacher,
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson,
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, Resolution 2021-13 is approved by council. Thank you very much, council. We're going to go on to item number 13, which is ordinances. This evening, we have an ordinance concerning demolition of structures. I will hand it, this is going to be a first reading on this ordinance. I'll hand it off to the chair of the planning committee, which is Councilmember Ringsacher.
Mr. Mayor, council, citizens all, make a motion to introduce an ordinance concerning demolition of structures for first reading.
Second. Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Ringsacher, seconded by Councilmember Robertson. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance concerning demolition of structures. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance concerning demolition of structures on first reading carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Madam Secretary, could you please read the header of this ordinance and assign this ordinance a number, please?
Yes, this will be Ordinance 1058, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Havre Grace, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11-E of the Maryland Constitution, the Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre Grace City Charter for the purpose of creating Chapter 55 to establish procedures for the demolition of structures.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. Council, to have a motion to adopt ordinance 1058 on first reading.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Ringsacher and seconded by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments? Councilmember Ringsacher.
Mr. Mayor, council, this ordinance is actually a portion of a different ordinance in the building code, but in an effort to preserve it for future use, in the instance that the building code gets changed and the ordinance that it's attached to gets deleted, we're making this a separate ordinance in itself. There's very minimal changes, just language stuff from the previous ordinance. We will be offering amendments at the second reading to delineate which specific structures would need a permit, specifically habitable dwellings, not necessarily sheds, and the size of the shed and whether or not an outbuilding would need a permit will be left up to the Department of Planning. And also, we want to delineate a specific timeline for review by the Historic Preservation Commission, for their advisement before the before the demolition. Interesting about the previous conversation, the EPA does not actually require abatement for a single-family home. We do have a form that is available with the Planning Department, that is available for anybody to see. We don't want to establish, I guess, civil penalties within the ordinance itself. We do have the notation of the penalty of it being a misdemeanor. That's left up for other administrative functions beyond the scope of what we're trying to do with this ordinance. So I don't feel comfortable in adding any additional penalties to the ordinance, so I won't be proffering any of those amendments. However, as written, I think that we have a substantial ordinance here that we can move forward with and protect the health and safety of the citizens of Havre de Grace. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Councilmember Ringsager. Any other questions or comments from the council? Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind the viewing audience and the folks here that, so the procedures for ordinances is it's adopted on first reading, and then we'll have a hearing on the ordinance where the public's invited back to speak again. We certainly encourage that. And then we'll have at another meeting the second reading and adoption of the ordinance before it's fully adopted, and 45 days after that it becomes law. So there are opportunities for the public to come back and talk a little more at length. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Any other questions and comments from the council? Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to reiterate what Councilmember Ringsager said. I think there's a lot to be said for this particular ordinance because it does codify and put out there in clear language what is expected of a contractor, what is expected of a homeowner in terms of coming to City Hall, getting we already have an ordinance for permits. However, to advise the city of when the demolition is going to take place and to also set guidelines for communicating that information to the immediate neighborhood so that residents on that a particular street or a particular area within the historic district are aware that this is going to be taking place and when it's going to take place. So this is something that, as Councilmember Ringsager had said, was part of the building code, and when the building codes are adopted, they're adopted en masse, and this is now being pulled out so that it is codified as its own ordinance, so that it doesn't, in the future, possibly get overwritten by a new building code standards. So I think this meets many of the concerns that the community has. It may not meet all of the concerns at this time, but I think it gives us a great framework to begin conversation and discussion. So I really appreciate the work that's been done on this, and that's my comments for this evening.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Council, I'm going to call the roll on ordinance 1058. Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
By roll call of 6-0 in the affirmative, ordinance 1058 is adopted on first reading. Council President, when would you like to hold the public hearing on this ordinance?
We'll have a public hearing on August the 2nd. That's our next council meeting at 7 p.m.
Thank you very much, Council President. Okay, public hearing on ordinance 1058 will be at the next council meeting, August 2nd, at 7 p.m., preceding the meeting, council meeting. Thank you very much, council. We're going to go on to item 14 this evening. Item 14 is old business. This evening we have no old business. Item 15 is new business. And we have a couple items under new business. We have a budget amendment concerning the water transmission line, and I'll hand this off to the Chair of the Budget Finance Committee, Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, I move to introduce and approve Budget Amendment 2022-03.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments? Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a little information for folks here and at home. This is an amendment that is increasing the revenue line in Fund 9 and increasing the expenditure line in Fund 9 for an engineering study to be done to take a line up 155. The funding source for this is the American Rescue Plan funding. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say nay. Budget Amendment 2022-03 carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Councilmember Robertson, you want to read off the account numbers real quick?
Sure. In the from column, account number 09-001-49-00, funds transfers, ARPA fund, $69,800. In the to column, account number 09-1232-9059, Route 155, water transmission line, $69,800.
Mr. Doherty? Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Councilman Robertson. We're going to go to item B, special events. We have 2 special events up for council to approve, and I'll hand this off to the Director of Administration, Mr. Gamatoy.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, before you have 2 special events. The first one is the Waterfront Festival, the Lighted Boat Parade. This event will take place on August the 20th down at Concord Point Park. This will actually be the Friday prior to the Waterfront Festival that's going to occur. This event is sponsored by the Havre Grace Alliance. There will be food trucks, a band, and a beer garden down at Concord Point Park. At about 9 or so, the boat parade will come by the shoreline, go down to near the American Legion, and then come back up. So it's we're hoping for good weather, so the boats can operate on the shoreline, and we're hoping for the approval by council on this. There is a map attached to show you the designated areas down at Concord Point, as well as the worksheet for costs. The police department is $1,186.50, and the Department of Public Works cost will be $375.75. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatoria. Council, do I have a motion to approve the Waterfront Festival?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilman Ringstocker. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Waterfront Festival, Lighted Boat Parade, August 20, 2021, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Concord Point Park is approved. 6-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, the second event application tonight is the 10th Annual Blessings and Pet Expo. This will again be down at Concord Point, much like in past years. It'll occur on the 12th of September. It'll begin at 10:30. The end time will be, with cleanup, will be 4:30 in the afternoon. The map of the area is included, as well as the costing sheet from DPW and the police department. The police department will handle this as normal patrol. There'll be no additional costs. Department of Public Works will be $208.75 just for basic consumables. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Council, I have a motion to approve the 10th Annual Blessing and Pet Expo, September 12th.
Second.
Councilmember Zinner, I think Councilmember Martin. A motion by Councilmember Zinner, second by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to approve the 10th Annual Blessing and Pet Expo, scheduled for September 12, 2021, 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. at Concord Point Park, is approved by council, 6-0 in the affirmative. Okay, that takes care of new business. We'll move on to item 16, Director's Report, and we will start off with the Director of Administration, Mr. Gamatori.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Mayor, and council, thank you for the attention to those two event applications. Just like to go over a couple special events that are events that are coming up. One at the Opera House and one down at the park this Friday, July 23rd, from 8 to 10. The Havre Grace Arts Collective will present the Ken and Brad Kolodner Quartet, and it's a very dynamic father and son duo. They've pushed the boundaries of Appalachian traditional music by infusing their own brand of driving, innovative, tasteful, and unique interpretations. They have some unique instrumentation, and much of which was fashioned from the Appalachian Mountains and the years gone by, with a gourd banjo, a hammered mabera, and a twin and triple fiddles. So it's that'll be at the Opera House on the 23rd. That same evening, down at Tidings Park, we have our Concerts in the Park, which is free, and that begins at 7:30 till 9. This week, the rock and roll band Exit 93 will be down at the park. I hope to see most of our folks there. It's been a very well-attended event through the course of the last month and a half, so we hope to see you there. And then on Saturday, July 24th, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., the Havre Grace Youth Program presents, this is free, Juicy Fruit Abstracts. And this will require, there are virtual tickets available. It will require some registration. And basically what will occur is there's going to be some observing of real fruit. They'll cut it in half, noticing different patterns. They'll draw shapes, see the colors, and in a new and groovy way. So I'm sure Council Member Robertson will have some additional comments on this event, or maybe not. So that is by the Havre Grace Youth Program. So, Mr. Mayor, those are the events we have to look forward to this coming week.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatori. Appreciate the update, sir. We're going to go to Director of Planning. Good evening, Mr. Shane Graham.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and citizens. This evening, I just want to let you know we are trying to schedule a meeting with the Planning Commission to discuss the upcoming updates to the critical area ordinance, which I believe may be in the read file right now. I'll have to check on that. So we will distribute that to you if you haven't gotten it already. It is quite a document. If you want to get to sleep one night, you want to read that. So it's a challenging ordinance to read through, and hopefully Diane Clare has put a lot of work into that. So hopefully it is a little simplified, because as we are an anomaly kind of compared to other municipalities that have critical area or other counties. So we'll get that and hopefully get that scheduled in front of the Planning Commission. But I do want to reiterate that it's kind of set already. We have to get that approved by the Critical Area Commission down in Annapolis. So there's not too many changes we can make, but certainly there's a big education component to that where we want to get in front of the Planning Commission, because they could at some point have a variance request in front of them, so they should understand that. Nothing else really on the Planning Commission agenda. I kind of feel like things are going to break free in the fall. We'll have a number of projects that will come in front of the Planning Commission. Councilman Ringsacker has said he's been pretty bored, so I'm working on some things to get in front of him this fall as well. So we'll keep him busy the fall into the winter. And that's all I have for this evening. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Grimm, thank you very much. I'd like to call upon our new Economic Development Director, Ms. Bridget Johnson, who started her job today with the City of Havre de Grace at 8 o'clock this morning. Welcome, Bridget. It's great to see you here, and it's great to see you in that seat. So what'd you learn today?
Let me say thank you to the mayor and council and to the citizens of Havre de Grace. Mostly everyone knows I have worked here before in the past. So what I learned today, that coming back as a colleague, that I still need to clean my office and put the files away and adapt accordingly. Thank you, Steve Gamatoria. Thank you, everyone, for the warm welcome. George told me to keep my comments brief. He said I may have worked here before, but I've never been up here before. So I appreciate that. But that's just my sense of humor. But seriously, thank you, everyone that's been watching since I came back and interviewed for the job knows how truly excited that I am to be here. I am a Havre de Grace girl through and through, Meadowvale Elementary, Havre de Grace Middle School, Havre de Grace High School, and then off to the military. So I'm back. I hope everyone's happy about that, but I'm here. And I look forward to presenting in the future on projects that we are working on. There is a lot in economic development, and honestly, I gotta get my hands around everything. I can't believe how much has happened I've only been gone 11 months. I can't believe the projects that are moving forward, the ARP funding that is coming down. You guys already looked at and like, this is what we want to do. So I look forward to just jumping in, and I'll be here tomorrow at 8 a.m. and every day after that. And George said it's time for me to go. Thank you.
Ms. Johnson, thank you so much. We're very lucky to have you here with us, and definitely looking forward to working together and see how much fun we can have at the City of Havre de Grace and where we can take it. So thank you. Okay, Mr. Long-Winded, how's it going?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, George Horty, Director of Finance. Is this going to be brief, or?
I intend to practice what I preach, Mr. Mayor.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead, sir. Take your time.
I'm not. First of all, thank you all for the budget amendment. It is important that we start to move forward pretty aggressively, because what we're finding is that the market is getting flooded with municipalities much larger than us and smaller hitting the market for construction, and so we are now starting to fight for engineering time, and materials are getting more expensive. You hear snippets of it in the news, but we're seeing it happen. And much to Tim's chagrin, he's changing his budgets by the minute. The only other thing, most of the activity right now from finance is really remnants from last fiscal year, so there hasn't been a whole lot this year yet. So much like last time, I'm going to step out on a limb and saying we're right on budget. And with that, I am going to practice what I preach, and that will be my comments for this evening, sir.
Mr. Horty, thank you very much for the update. Appreciate it, sir. Good evening, Mr. Woody.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Moving forward with the projects, as George talked about, the projects that we're working on, and we've awarded for contracts, that's one of the biggest delays is the materials. It's taken several weeks to get the construction material, pipes, fittings, so those type of things. So the anticipated start dates have keep getting kicked back because of just the ordering of the materials, and so it just is that. It's the way it is right now, and we kind of anticipated that with the money coming in and everybody. That's kind of why we got to jump on things that we did for as far as engineering and such. Lewis Lane project, that road widening, that project, we finally got the funding from the community block grants, and we've issued a notice to proceed. We'll probably have a pre-construction meeting on that next week when Joe Conaway comes back from vacation. The same as Gerard Street, I actually met with Civil Utility today to go over Gerard Street, what they needed as far as starting that project. That was awarded. I have to have a meeting, try to schedule a meeting next week with the community just to give them a brief summary of what's going on, and if they have any questions. And again, we got to make some decisions. We're probably going to start that project in about 4 weeks. And we have to change the pipe from Schedule 40 to Schedule 35 because we just can't find Schedule 40 PVC pipe. So we're going to make some adjustments, but we're going to be moving ahead with that drainage project, and hopefully it'll help the folks. Main force main, we did do a study, as I talked about. I had some concerns about the stability of the pipe and the condition of it, and we actually ran a study last week. And so far, the results have come back very positive. It doesn't look like that pipe is in that bad a shape. There is probably some capital expenses. We're probably looking between $100,000 and $150,000 at a minimum to upgrade or to repair the air release valves as well as the shutoff valves. The air release valves, for whatever reason, were tampered with. Well, they were basically closed off. I'm assuming that back in the day that people complained about the odor, and so instead of making some other adjustments, they just sort of just made them non-functional. So it's going to cost the city probably between $100,000 and $150,000 to kind of redo those, as well as the exercising and replacing the valves that are existing. You know, so we're working through a lot of things. Solid handling facility moving forward, intake pipes again. That project's been awarded, but it's just getting the materials. And we're getting along there. We've got a lot of the engineering going using for the federal grant money. So you know, we're churning along, getting things done and getting it out of here, and just trying to get things, you know, organized. And Patrick's been a great help in getting the contracts prepared and moving towards that construction phase. So it's been. We keep busy, we get a lot of things done, so that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Woody, for the update. Appreciate all the work you're doing. I know you've been really busy. Thank you. We're gonna like to hear from the police department. Welcome Captain Joe Alton.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Just very briefly tonight, just a quick reminder that coming up August the 3rd, annually every year, is the National Night Out event. Obviously, it was missed last year due to COVID. However, we do have that coming up again this year, and we are actively planning, obviously, with at least one area within the community where we will make an appearance. I bring it up just that so that if there is anybody in the community that is planning an event and does want us to attend, they can certainly reach out to the police department, contact Corporal Terry, and he will ensure that somebody does make an appearance at their particular event. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Captain. Thanks for being here tonight. We're going to go on to item 17, business from the mayor's office. We got a couple things just want to update everybody on. So we've been talking a lot about the American Rescue package that every city government, county government, state government's getting from the federal government in response to lost revenue and other damages sustained during the corona pandemic over the past year. You've heard the number $11.7 million floated around a lot since March. Since we were told about it, we got a general number. The general number was $11.7 million. And we weren't sure between now, you know, since then and now, exactly how much it was going to be. We weren't sure if they were going by our revenue or our budget, if we were going by population. They were working out some details. So it's not $11.7 million, come to find out. It's more. It's not $11.7 million. It's actually $13,811,367.58. So we got our first half of that money sent to the city this week, and within the next 12 months, we'll get the second half of that money. Now, with that said, the guidelines are still coming out from the Treasury Department on just exactly what those funds can be expended on. One thing that we're very clear on is that we can use them for water and sewer infrastructure improvements. As you saw tonight, there was a kind of a little jump ahead amendment to get a bid going on a very important project for water and sewer on a bigger line to go up 155. We kind of anticipated the money coming in, and we wanted to make sure that job was bid out. I want to tell council that these projects won't be coming in piece by piece. We'll try to have a very comprehensive list for council of all the projects that are going to be identified in water and sewer, and we'll have it to you very soon. And also, it's this administration's intention to put a good, healthy lion's share of this money into water and sewer. It's also the intention of this administration to hold some funds aside for other. What is other? Well, there's a lot of, we believe this could be used for economic development initiatives. Possibly some more types of infrastructure in the city, maybe not water and sewer related. So it's still, we know it can be used for water and sewer. We're still waiting to see the exact other guidelines. We've heard a lot of different things. So again, but here's things we can, things we're staring down in the next couple of years. In a couple of weeks, that auditorium gymnasium is going to be handed over to the city. If you've been following the Board of Ed meetings, at the previous Board of Ed meeting on Monday night, the Board of Ed voted unanimously to surplus the auditorium and gymnasium back to Harford County. And Harford County and City of Havre Grace has signed a memorandum of understanding that that building and the property and building will be deeded over to the city. It doesn't need to be done legislatively by the county council, but it should be done in a couple weeks. We currently have a feasibility study out right now that's going to come back by a firm named Man Woodward on possible reconfiguration of the building to be a performing arts center, be used as a gymnasium, maybe exhibit hall also. There's a lot of need for parks and rec in this area and exhibit halls. What I'm trying to say is, if this comes back and it works, you could be talking $1 million or so in renovations to bring that old auditorium up to a modern-day performing arts center. Now, can we use that American Rescue Plan money for that? We don't know yet. Could we say it's tourism or economic development related? Maybe, but my message right now to the council is we're still waiting on clear definitions and on how to move forward. So what I'm saying to council is this, and to the general public. We know we can use it for water and sewer, and we have the projects identified, and I can give a very more definite list in the next couple meetings to the council to look at and to give your approval on. And the share of it is our intention to go to water and sewer, but we do want to keep some aside for other initiatives that we may need. That one, we're very fortunate to receive this money. There's a lot of projects in the city that sometimes we just could never tackle because we just never had the money. So we're also going to approach it cautiously. So my message to my citizens, my message to the council is we're all taking this one step at a time. But I wanted to be very transparent as we found out just a couple days ago the exact amount of money that we're receiving. And again, it's not 11.7, it's actually more, it's 13.8. And we got the first 6.9 this week. So that's the update I have on this money. As soon as clarity comes out of this, as soon as the Treasury Department stops, the musical chairs and just lands on something and says, and then we can take it from there. Then we'll know exactly what we can do with it. But right now it's kind of a little ambiguous. Okay, with that said, if you've been to the North Park Trail lately, and you parked at the Lock House, and you do your normal little route around the pond, and you go, to the bridge over Lily Run, you'll notice that there's a really cool looking kiosk that is right at the entrance there to the North Park Trail at the Lock House. And that, my friends, is a Eagle Scout project by a young city resident named Steven Snyder. And so this was Steven's idea, which is a phenomenal idea. We definitely needed one because most people began walking on a trail with just a leap of faith, not really knowing where it went. So now you can look at a map and you know where the trail takes you and you know how to get home. And this is all because of Steven Snyder. And although he built it a couple weeks ago with his team, this Thursday at 3 o'clock, if anybody's around, there's going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony at the kiosk there at the Lock House. So this Thursday at 3 o'clock, we're going to honor Steven Snyder and his Eagle Scout project. And happen to be sitting next to an Eagle Scout here, Mr. Council President Dave Glenn. So hope you can join us and speak Eagle Scout with us.
I'll be there.
All right. I mean it. I have to tell you, Council President Glenn and former Councilmember Randy Craig were Eagle Scouts, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And with that said, we welcomed Bridget Johnson here, who started today, but as many people know, we've done some changing around a little bit in the administration. We moved Director Administrator, Mr. Seipolt, to be the Director of Capital Projects. He's pretty busy. And Chief of Staff Gamatori became the Director of Administration. And we talked several times about bringing on the Chief Advisor to the Mayor, Mr. Randy Taylor, and I'd like everyone to know that he started his job last Monday, and now he's with the city with us full time. I'd like everybody to welcome Randy Taylor. Thanks for being here. We're happy to have you, sir, and so Mr. Taylor told me he's not much of an office person, so I know some people around town have seen him already filling potholes and emptying trash cans and unclogging sewer lines last week. So my new chief advisor to the mayor is going to be out and about in the city, so you'll see him, and please say hi. So that's all I'm going to say tonight. I was going to talk about redistricting, but I'm going to save that for the next meeting. Councilmanic redistricting, not school redistricting. I'll have more to report on that. So with that said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. And we're going to go from business from the council, and we're going to start with Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. I want to thank all the volunteers that continue to move forward, both on the Cultural Exchange and the 4th of July Commission. I want to talk that last week or 2 weeks ago, I missed the council meeting. I was in Grandfather Mountains to attend the Highland Games. So I'm looking forward to working with the Culture Exchange Commission and Councilmember Boyer for our Celtic event that we're working on in January. So it's going to be a big event. We're trying to keep it so that the city is remaining out of it. It will all be done by private, the American Legion, the Opera House, the local restaurants. So we're just trying to bring in some events. We have 4 vendors who are talking about coming up, and 1 person that wants to do a demonstration, which would be a border collie demonstration, and they are going to bring different types of sheep, and they will show us how the border collies actually work and work the sheep, as well as they also herd ducks. So it will be, it was a 45-minute presentation they had down there. It was very interesting, and it kept us entertained. MML met last Thursday, the chapter meeting for Cecil Harford County. I want to thank Council President and Jason Robertson for being there as well. We attended ribbon cutting at Battery Island Brewery on Friday. The Havre Grace Ambulance Corps food truck Sunday was great. The weather actually cooperated. The food was great. We were able to sit outside and enjoy the weather and have decent meals. So again, that's going to continue for the next several weeks. And then Wednesday, the Tourism Advisory Board will meet at 10 o'clock, and it will be meeting at City Hall. And with that, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. Good evening, Councilmember Ringsacker.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'll be real quick, just give an update. My daughter's doing exceptionally well, recovering from her knee surgery. She's doing PT, walking around. When she gets tired, she uses a crutch. However, my son tripped at scout camp and broke his ankle. So if you see any ring soccer kids out there, I promise you I don't beat them. You know, it just, they're clumsy like their father. It's the Norwegian in us, I guess. You know, they're doing great. I just hope he can recover enough to play football, because football does start in a week and a half from today on July 31st. That's Saturday. So what I want everybody to do is watch out for the kids. You're going to see them parking here in this new lot. You'll see them parking along here, practicing right here. About the only field we have, the high school field, and Lily Run behind it. So you're going to see kids, especially in the afternoons, about 6 o'clock, and then 8 o'clock when we're done. Just be careful, especially when it starts getting dark and these kids are running across. Please watch out for them. On Saturdays, don't park on the yellow lines. The yellow lines are there specifically to give a sight distance, so when people are coming in and out of the stadium, they don't get hit. I'm hoping this year with the new parking lot that we should, mediate some of that issue with the previous parking stuff. But again, I will be working in the booth, calling the games. So I do have the phone number for the police department, and I will get you ticketed, and if you don't move, we will get you towed, because it's all about the safety of the children. So please don't park there, and watch out for the kids. With that, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ringsager. Good evening, Councilmember Boyer.
Hello, everybody. First of all, I'm so excited to see our friends back. Bridget, I'm so excited to have you back. I'm looking forward to great things happening here in the city of Havre. And Randy, I'm so excited to have you. It's going to be great things. With the amount of money coming in, it's all hands on deck, and this is our time to shine. So great things. I want to let you all know that if you know of a recent grad or an intern who is looking for a job, APG is having a virtual recent grad and intern hiring days, and it's throughout the month of July through the 27th specifically. Wide variety of jobs, wide variety of commands, hiring. To find out more, go to LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. Look up Aberdeen Proving Ground, and you'll get the link to it. The link is way too long for me to read it out loud. And apply. We're taking all of those resumes, putting them to hiring managers, and trying to arrange interviews from there. So there's a large amount of hiring that will be available. Again, focus at this point in time is recent grads and interns, and I believe in the near future there will also be another virtual hiring day for what we call journeymen, which will be people with more experience. Also, in an effort to keep everybody informed of what all is happening with the ambulance corps, I want to, other than just the wonderful food trucks on Sundays, I want to let you all know that last week there was 56 calls for a total call volume year to date of 1,372 calls, each averaging 2.5 hours, which makes over 9,950 hours of effort by our ambulance corps to date, and that's pretty significant. And as much as possible, they also need our support. It's not easy being on the ambulance corps these days. If you look online right now on memes, which I just did right before I talked, we'll find that Upper Chesapeake is currently orange red again. They've been on red for the last 20 hours. And Hartford Memorial today was on yellow for 1.7 hours and on red for 6.95 hours. What that means is that our ambulance corps then has to divert and go to either a different hospital or wait for them to be able to take the patients, which means that our members are off the street and taking care of the patient that they have in hand. Now, if they have to go all the way to Bel Air and they drop off the patient, then that means that anywhere on that path back to Havre Grace, if they're closest to a call, they're the ones that are diverted, and then they go to a call in Bel Air or wherever they're closest, wherever they're needed. We're also finding a lot that we're responding to Aberdeen a lot, which makes it so that Havre Grace has less people available to take care of our citizens. So, A, if you know of anybody who's interested in volunteering, they absolutely need volunteers. B, we need your support financially because they would like to hire somebody else to have on board, have another full-time person available to help respond. So please look on ways that you can help and step forward because we really do need our volunteers. It's the almost 10,000 hours is a lot, but we're only halfway through the year. And we need people to step forward so we can take care of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Good evening, Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Anyway, I would just like to add something. I didn't have the statistics that Councilmember Boyer had, but they really are alarming. I have, in my personal life, have had to call the ambulance corps on several occasions. The last call, there was a significant delay, and I couldn't figure out why, but at any rate, I did know that Upper Chesapeake was on red that night. The other thing is that 95 has just seemed to become a magnet for accidents, and there was a serious accident last Thursday. So I read in the paper, and it could be because there maybe was a trauma patient there, but the patients went to Union Hospital and Christiana. With the impending closure of Havre Memorial Hospital, I just see this problem getting worse and worse in terms of service to all of our communities, not just this municipality, but Aberdeen and Bel Air. I think the population in Bel Air is used to having quick response as well as beds available, and as more and more people are shifted in that direction, I think that's going to change. I talked about this a couple years ago, that I thought that the plans that are in the making are a mistake, and maybe they'll change, I don't know. But I think it's something that we all need to be concerned about, and have a plan in place and how we're going to get the care we need. And if it's volunteering or if it's contributing, then I think now is the time to start those plans in place for your own personal safety. So that's all I have to say on that matter, but I think it's an important message. The other thing is, Arts Commission will be meeting next Tuesday, the fourth Tuesday of the month, as is their habit. And I want to thank all of the commission members who were here this evening, who were sworn in, again, for the work that they do and the people that they bring into the community, and the many, many hours that they serve to bring attention to the community, and service as well, the service benefits they bring. So that's all my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zimmer. Good evening, Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen here and at home. Just a few announcements to put out. First of all, the Budget and Finance Committee will meet in the small conference room here tomorrow, July 20th at 4 p.m. Secondly, the Economic Development Advisory Board will meet here in council chambers on Wednesday the 21st at 4 p.m. The Youth Commission will be meeting this Thursday, the 22nd, at 6:30 p.m. In the large conference room. It's just busy week. And then additionally, at the last council meeting, we approved the back-to-school celebration at Hutchins Park, and that's taking place September 25th from 3 to 7 p.m., and that's sponsored by the Youth Commission. We wanted to add a rain date to that, so that would be the next day, September 26th, and that would be the same times, 3 to 7, just in case. And we kind of want to do that sooner rather than later, so we can get that on the marketing materials and vendor applications and all. So, on the advice of Council President and Director of Administration, I make a motion to amend the back-to-school celebration event application to include the addition of the rain date as September 26th, 3 p.m. through 7 p.m.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Ringsacker, to add a rain date to the event of, to make the rain date 9/26. Is that correct?
9/26, yeah.
Okay. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
All right.
Okay,
And
rain
with
date
that-
added.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you, council. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have a good rest of your July. I can't believe how quick the summer's going already. So, yeah, before you know it, back to school.
Hey now. Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Business from the Council President. Council President Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. I too got to attend the ribbon cutting for the Battery Island Brewery. I took the opportunity to congratulate both Kyle and Kevin for making what was once a dream a reality despite a pandemic. They took a lot of effort on their part, but they made it work. They're going to be a great addition to the downtown district, and I wish them nothing but the best. At the last meeting, I made mention that 4 of our Little League teams were going to the States. And tonight, I'm happy to report that the senior girls came back from Hancock, Maryland with the state title in hand. They took it all. So, congratulations to them and head coach Chris Metzer. And we've said it many times before, Grace on top. And I want to thank the community that came out on Saturday to support their car wash. They had a car wash to help raise funds to offset the costs of going to the state tournaments. So for everybody that came out and contributed to the Little League and contributed to their efforts, I thank you very much. And Mr. Mayor, that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you very much, Council President. We're going to go to item number 19. Item 19 is comments from citizens. This is a part of the council meeting if you wish to speak on an item that is not on the agenda and any various city business. Raise your hand and be recognized. Okay, council. Item 20 is adjournment. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Council President.
Second.
Second by Council Ringsacker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn. Council meeting carries 6-0 in the affirmative. The time is now 8:41. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening.